So you have Stephen King books which are like meh, like Holly and It. For me, it was like when I read the ending, it was like, oh, what were you thinking? But then you have other Stephen King books, such as The Shining and The Stand, which is my personal favorite, where it's like, bravo, bravo. So where does 11/22/63 sit in? Well, so if you don't know the story, it's about this guy who travels back in time to, during the JFK assassination, which when JFK was assassinated on 11/22/1963. So he goes back in time prior to the assassination, and he thinks to himself how he can not only blend in because he's obviously wearing clothing from, I think it's 2000, but he has to adapt. He has to get to know the lay of the land, the environment. Of course, there's no cell phones, and he can't contact anybody. He has to use nickels and dimes to call people up, and tries to, gets an apartment, and nobody really knows his name or who he is and where he's coming from. So strangers are treated differently back then, and you get to understand that in the book. But also, like, people have tighter, more meaningful connections back then. Meets a woman who's in an abusive relationship, and he gets to know her. But he also observed Lee Harvey Oswald, and you find out how they're all connected to some degree or another. So, but again, he goes back in time for the very specific reason to prevent the JFK assassination. Does he do it? You got to read the book. So I will say this though, I am going to put it in the Stand and the Shining category. It's not horror by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a well-told story, and he didn't spoil the ending for me at all. So he did something that was a little bit unique, and I appreciate that. I will say this though, it's well worth, because I know I'm doing this review because there's the Netflix TV shows coming out 11/22/63. So if you want to watch that, I have no idea what it's, if it's good or any good or not. I will be reviewing it, but like, I encourage you to listen to the book or read the book, because after the ending, he talks about how he and his wife had like little, dare I say, squabble, I guess, about how she feels as though who was involved in JFK assassination, and what his research took him to see about the assassination. So I strongly encourage you to either read or write the book before you see the Netflix TV show. So it's definitely worth reading, 100%. I got through it in a matter of 3 days, but again, I read this years ago, and it was I still remember a good chunk of it. So tell me what you think. If you read it, if you haven't read it, what are your thoughts on it? I'd love to hear it.